So much that we can talk about. I am here in New York City. I've got this beautiful painting right behind me on the wall, and it has stopped snowing outside. It will soon be dark in New York City. It is 4:10, and probably 4:11 or 4:12 by now, but it has stopped snowing in New York City. And so, yes, there's snow on the ground, but we all shall survive. I am so glad to be talking with all of you. So much to discuss, so much to talk about. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to hit the subscribe button. Be sure to hit the notifications bell so that you become notified of these things. I think a lot of you are here because you got notifications. People have been complaining that they're not getting notifications, so be sure to hit the notifications bell. People have also been complaining that they're unsubscribed against their will. We know that this is just the natural workings of the YouTube algorithm. And so if that is the case, be sure to hit the subscribe button so that you can be subscribed. So much to talk about. The normal format for the show is that I give my opening remarks. Then after that, thank you, Herb Bryant, for the super chat. After that, I do the roll call. And in the roll call, I call out everyone names and locations so we know who we are. And then from there, I answer your super chat questions. And then we're done. So really, the power is in your hands. This live could be very, very, very long, or it could be very short. It's up to you. Depends on the questions you ask. While I'm giving my opening remarks, I will write down the super chats. Just saw that one. I'll read them out and answer the super chats. I'll answer the super chat questions in the second half of the program. So I have got plenty of unnamed diet beverage here in this unnamed cup. And on that note, I think we'll just jump right into it. Folks, my heart goes out to the 4 million people in Texas that have been left out in the cold. Don't care if you're a Trump supporter. Don't care if you're a Democrat. Don't care if you're a liberal. Don't care if you're white, black, Latino, Chicano. McCarthyism. Don't care about none of that. You in Texas are an American. I, here in New York, originally from Ohio, am an American, and I do not want to see you in the conditions that you are in. The power grid of the state of Texas has failed. The oil refineries are frozen. The wind turbines are frozen. The state was unprepared for the weather conditions. At this point, there are at least 2 dozen deaths. There have been 300 people who've gotten carbon monoxide poisoning because they've been so cold they tried to heat their homes with their cars, and the result was carbon monoxide poisoning. Hospitals are being evacuated. Roofs of buildings are collapsing because of the freezing rain. This is an absolute disaster. This is an absolute and utter disaster. And this is a disaster that is more than natural. Yes, obviously, this is because of the unpredicted cold weather, but this is more than natural. Folks, for years in the United States, we have been gutting our public sector. Everything considered to be public property in this country for the last 30, 40, 50 years has been defunded. Our power plants are crumbling. Here in New York City, folks will recall Hurricane Sandy and how in Manhattan, in the capital of capitalism, New York City, there's a video and you can watch the power plant exploding. The power plant here in New York City, in the capital of capitalism, you can go watch the video right now. Kaboom! Exploded. Furthermore, it's not just the electrical layers, it's also the subways. Right? The subways in Washington, D.C. closed down for an entire day because of the fact that somebody died from smoke and the bad condition of the subways. Subways here in New York City are always falling apart. It's a nightmare. It's not just that. It's the water treatment facilities. All over the country, we have people drinking water that is not up to standards. We know about the Flint water crisis that was a disaster. That was just one example. There are many examples of water that's not being properly purified. They are unpaving the roads across the country. They have a device called a reclaimer that rips up the asphalt and pulverizes it. Where you used to have a paved asphalt road, you have a dirt road. This is the situation in the United States. And this is the very thing that socialism and communism are meant to address. Why is Stalin still widely popular in Russia? Why is Stalin? Yes, Jared, I'm talking about it right now. Why is Stalin so popular in Russia? Because after the Russian Revolution, after the devastating civil war in which 15 different countries invaded the Soviet Union, including the United States, we sent troops to put down the Russian Revolution, Stalin mobilized the population to build. He said, it's time to start building. And in Ukraine, Stalin mobilized the Soviet people to build the world's largest hydroelectrical power plant, the Dnieper Dam. It was at that time the largest hydroelectrical power plant in the world. They built new universities. They mobilized literacy teams to teach people to read and wipe out illiteracy among the Russian peasantry. They industrialized. Soon Russia was the world's top producer of steel. Soon Russia was producing more tractors than any other country in the world. Under the leadership of Stalin, Russia became a fully electrified country. And in fact, Lenin, before his death, he gave a definition of communism. Lenin very famously said that communism is Soviet power plus electrification. Communism is Soviet power plus electrification. Now, Soviet power, that meant workers' councils, that meant community power, plus technological advancement. That was the recipe for getting to communism. If popular power takes control and then mobilizes to build and modernize and advance technology, that is the recipe for communism. Public control over the means of production, mobilizing the public to build. That is the definition of communism, according to Lenin. Communism, he said, is Soviet power plus electrification. And it was Soviet power plus electrification that invented space travel. It was Soviet power plus electrification that built the modern university system of the Soviet Union. Okay. Writing it down, Jared. Was Soviet power that invented the AK-47 rifle. It was Soviet power that brought us the music of Shostakovich. It was Soviet power writing it down. It was Soviet power that brought us the films of Sergei Eisenstein. It was Soviet power that built the Moscow subways, beautiful, beautiful subways. It was Soviet power, popular power, mobilizing the public to build, to electrify, to construct, that turned Russia into a modern country. Popular power, mobilizing the public to go out and build. The same thing's been done in China. Where is the largest power plant in the world? What is the largest power plant in the world? What is the largest power plant in the world? What's the largest power plant in the world? The largest power plant in the world is the Three Gorges Dam in China, constructed by the Chinese Communist Party. The largest power plant in the world. Largest power plant in the world. Folks, the people of Texas have lived under deregulation, have lived under free market policies. They've lived under the power of huge corporations, unrestrained by the greed of capitalists. And it has largely devastated their states. I wrote it down. Largely devastated their states. Folks, I don't know if you heard, but the mayor of Colorado City in Texas posted the following on Facebook. These are direct quotes from his Facebook post. This is the mayor of Colorado City, major city in Texas where people are without power, etc. He posted, quote, "No one owes you or your family anything, nor is it local government's job to support you in trying times like this. Sink or swim, it's your choice. I am sick and tired of people looking for a damn handout. If you don't have electricity, you step up and come up with a game plan." The mayor of a Texas city where people don't have power, where people are struggling to get by, that was his message to his constituents. In any other country in the world, if an elected official got up and said that, if the country was facing a crisis, if people were without power and freezing, if they were evacuating the hospitals, and the mayor got up and said, "No one owes you or your family anything, nor is it the local government's job to support you in trying in times like this. Sink or swim. It's your choice. I'm sick and tired of people looking for a damn handout. You don't have electricity. You step up. You come up with a game plan." Any other country, I mean, maybe there's some exceptions out there. Any other country, if some elected official talked that way, they would definitely step down, which this mayor has been forced to step down, but they might be in real danger. I mean, there might be mobs forming to attack them, right? I mean, this is pretty unbelievable. Pretty unbelievable that he would do this. Thank you, Eduardo, for the super chat. It's pretty unbelievable that he would speak this way. It's just shockingly horrific. Horrific. You know, in the United States, I don't have children, but if one has children, and your children go to school, and it's clear that they're not eating, you go to jail. And that is called criminal neglect, because your responsibility as a parent is to make sure that your children can eat. If your children come to school and they don't have proper clothing, you go to jail. That's called criminal neglect. Well, it is blatantly obvious, and has been blatantly obvious for a long time, that the government of the United States, state, local, and federal, is guilty of criminal neglect. They have abandoned the people. Thank you, Alex, for the super chat. They've abandoned the people. This is a confession, I would say, of criminal neglect. Why does this man talk this way? Why does he think it's okay to talk this way? I'll tell you why. Because of Tom Woods, because of Milton Friedman, because of Ayn Rand, because of Friedrich von Hayek, because of Ludwig von Mises, because of PragerU, because of the Reason Foundation, let's think, because of the Cato Institute, and because of all the bullshit institutions out there that have spent decades telling us the free market can solve anything. The free market can solve anything. The magic of the free market. The capitalism is the greatest system in the world. Libertarianism is a bunch of economic flim-flam and hooey. It doesn't work. They implemented libertarian policies in Russia after the fall of the Soviet Union, and it destroyed the place. And then Putin fixed it by putting oil and gas at the center of the economy and under government control. They implemented free market policies in Chile after Pinochet came to power, and it wrecked the place, and people starved to death, and they died. They died. We have been implementing libertarian policies in the United States for decades and decades and decades, and we have managed to make the richest country in the world poorer and poorer and poorer and poorer and poorer. Libertarianism is economic flim-flam. It is based on the belief that you can cut your way into economic growth. That somehow cutting the jobs of government employees, cutting government spending in the economy can magically create economic growth. I'll definitely talk about that, David. It doesn't work. It does not work. Libertarian economics does not work. The notion that the government cuts its role in the economy, completely steps back from the economy, lets the economy take care of itself, and then somehow everyone becomes super rich and we evolve into this libertarian, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And they've tried it in so many places. And it doesn't work. The British Empire, they were all about this. Adam Smith, the author of The Wealth of Nations, the economist of the British Empire, the self-hating Scotsman. Writing it down. They promoted this utter garbage. And now we're looking at the results of it. I have to turn the painting back on. We're looking at the results of it. all across the United States, we're seeing the results of libertarian policies in practice. The government is not involved. The government has kept its hands off. You're on your own, sink or swim. Nobody owes you nothing. Who do you think you are, you entitled little... Unbelievable. This is libertarianism in practice. This is what we are seeing. Roosevelt, President of the United States, during the Great Depression, he gave a speech and he talked about do-nothing government. Government that throws up its hands and does nothing, being a curse on the United States. He was right about that. The Great Depression, we saw libertarian policies, we saw mass farm failures, we saw all kinds of people suffering and hungry and desperate. And Roosevelt said it's time to reject do-nothing government, and he mobilized the public to build. He set up the Tennessee Valley Authority. He mobilized the building of the Hoover Dam, and the building of the Key West Highway, and the building of LaGuardia Airport, and all kinds of great construction projects to lay the basis of infrastructure. Even capitalist economists, this is the crazy thing. It used to be widely understood among even the most ardent free marketeers and capitalists that in order to facilitate the market, some public sector was necessary. You need to have paved roads in the town so that when you have a store, that store can make money by people driving to that store on roads. You need to have a postal service. It's actually in the U.S. Constitution. They designated a postal service so that the mail could be distributed, and that mail would be distributed, the postal service. It wouldn't have a bias. It wouldn't serve any individual corporation. No, there would be, the government would handle the mail, the postal service. But libertarians have been trying their best to dismantle all of this. Sociopathic libertarian economics that says, you know, who says we need to have government paved roads? Who says that we need to make sure the electricity stays on? Who says we need a postal service? They've been actively trying to dismantle the postal service. They've privatized the military, private military contractors. What could go wrong with that? They've got prisons for profit, another great libertarian policy, right? Who says the government has to lock people up? Why not have a private company, have a financial incentive? Thank you, Cam. Why not have the government have a financial incentive to lock people in jail? What could possibly go wrong with that? I mean, that's a great idea, isn't it? I mean, what in the world could go wrong with this? I mean, among the elites in the United States, they've adopted this libertarian free market ideology that says the government is best, governs least, the state has no responsibility to you. Your leaders, your government has no obligation to take care of you, no obligation to make sure the electricity is on or make sure that your water isn't contaminated with lead or make sure the roads are paved. All right, writing it down. No obligation. None. No obligation. You're on your own, sink or swim. That is the idea. The idea that the state is putting out there. Unbelievable. We're living with the results of this. We are living with the results of these insane policies. And the scariest thing is that, and I do not understand it, socialists and Marxists, those of us who believe that we are in this together and the state should control the means of production. Now there's a whole crew of phony socialists who don't believe in this. You listen to the clowns at Jacobin, you listen to Skippy the Bear, you listen to Vosh, they agree with the libertarians. Seriously, they agree with the libertarians. They don't think the government should spend money on post offices and power plants. Oh no, Jabba the Vosh, Marx wasn't a statist. Marx didn't want the government to do anything. Marx just wanted the everyone to open their own factory and a pencil factory. He just wanted worker cooperatives. Now, I have seen events. The Jacobin crowd, they debate Reason Foundation. They debate the Libertarians. And they sit there, and the Libertarians are like, communism's evil. It kills millions of people, even though like the Soviet Union raised millions out of poverty. And no, communism never worked anywhere. And the Jacobin crowd go, that's okay. We agree with you guys. We're against state socialism. Yeah, totally. We want to totally dismantle the government. Yeah, we just want worker cooperatives. Yeah, we're with you guys. Cool. Let's team up. Let's help dismantle the government together. We're socialists. No, that's the Jacobinites. That's what they think. They agree with the Libertarians. Right? You listen to, Skippy the Bear. He's got a whole video on there explaining that, oh no, socialists never want the government to do anything. Anyone who reads Marx, you have to be an idiot to think Marx would want the government to actually take care of people or like fight for working families. That's idiot. You have to be an idiot. Everyone knows Marx just wanted to start little cooperatives in the this toxic ideology. What I'm reading to you here, no one owes you or your family anything. Nor is it the local government's job to support you in trying times like this. Sink or swim, it's your choice. I'm sick and tired of people looking for a damn handout. If you don't have electricity, you step up and... That thinking, there's socialists that are promoting that kind of garbage. There are socialists that are promoting that kind of thinking. The Trotskyites and the Social Democrats and the anarcho-Bidenists, they believe that. They believe that. They think socialism means that you think all Republicans are Nazis, and you think all Republicans are Nazis, and you want to open a cooperative business, but you never no. And then anyone who says what's common sense right now, common sense, that we need a government to stand up to these big bankers and stand up to these corporations. Make them pay their taxes and use the money to build some goddamn power plants and to purify the water and make sure the mail comes on time and repave the roads in your neighborhood. Vosh and the Reason Foundation and PragerU and all the phonies from the synthetic left to the neocon right wing, Reason Foundation, anarcho-capitalists, anarcho-Bidenists, all of them think that if you say that, you're a Nazi. That's what they think. On the right, you're not allowed to say it because capitalism is the greatest thing. On the left, you're not allowed to say, it's authoritarianism. It's common sense to do what Roosevelt did and mobilize the population to build. It's time to start building in America. It is time to start building in America. We need to go out. We need the state to step up and say that profits and the market has failed us, and it is time to have popular power control the means of production. It is time for the banks and the factories and the industries and the natural resources to be organized to serve the people and not the profits of a small group of billionaires. We need popular power to turn the electricity back on in Texas. We need popular power to rebuild the crumbling subway system of New York City. We need popular power to, build some high-speed railways already and get us off of this awful system of highways. We need popular power. We need state power, community power to mobilize the people to save this country from the disaster of this sink-or-swim ideology. But neither the right is certainly not going to do that. The right loves capitalism. And the left isn't going to do it because that's authoritarianism. They think Trump wants that. You listen to you sound like Donald Trump. You're talking about an elite that has more power than everybody else. Oh my God. On the right, if you talk that way, they say you're a communist. On the left, they have so abandoned Marxism and class struggle and economics. I have had people that say that if I talk about the ruling class, if I talk about the bankers, if I talk about the big corporations, that means Jews, Caleb. You're being an anti-Semite. I am not being an anti-Semite. I am definitely not being an anti-Semite. I'm not talking about Jews or Catholics or Protestants or Irish or Italians or African Americans or Chinese people. I'm not talking about race at all. I'm talking about economics. There is one class that owns the means of production. The means of production, the centers of economic power, are owned by people. And those people have many different races and many different nationalities and many different ethnic backgrounds. What they have in common is their class. They are capitalists. And the interest of the capitalist and the interest of the worker are diametrically opposed. And this is called the class struggle. The capitalist gets more money, the less he pays the worker. The more wages the worker gets, the less the capitalist gets. The capitalist wants government policies that, start big wars and impoverish countries. The capitalist wants corporate bailouts, but the working class, they want paved roads and they want electricity in their neighborhoods. And the interests of the working class, the majority, the people, the broad masses, are very diametrically opposed to the interests of those who own the big corporations and own the banks and own the major factories and own the oil wells. And the interests of you and the people in your neighborhood and your community are diametrically opposed to the interests of Rockefeller and DuPont and Carnegie and Vanderbilt. There is a class struggle. It's not anti-Semitic to say that. I'm not talking about any ethnic group. I'm not talking about any religion. And no, it's not vulgarly authoritarian to say that. There's plenty of authoritarianism in our society. The laws are written by these people. They're written by the billionaires and bankers to protect their property. And what I'm saying is that we need a new kind of state. We need a people's state, a socialist state that will write the laws to protect us from them, that will organize the economy to serve us. I want a society where the banks, factories, and major industries and the centers of economic power are organized to serve the people and public good, not the profits of a small group of billionaires and bankers and monopolists. I believe in socialism. This is what Eugene Debs talked about. This is what Gus Hall talked about. This is what Karl Marx talked about. This is what Lenin talked about. This is basic stuff. Nothing I'm saying here is remotely profound. It has been said for hundreds of years by people just like me. But yet it has been locked out of the discourse. The toxic libertarian ideology that says sink or swim. Sink or swim. Thank you, I.O. Hillary. Sink or swim. You're on your own, buddy. The state has no obligation to you. That toxic ideology is destroying our society. Meanwhile, while our subways here in New York City are crumbling, China has built some of the fastest trains in the entire world. Studying econ. Get the message out. Some of the fastest trains in the entire world. China has raised millions of their people up from poverty with a state centrally planned economy. Evo Morales created the highest rate of GDP growth in all of South America. With state central planning. Thank you for the super chat. Folks, socialism works. It has problems. It definitely has problems. The Soviet Union fell for a reason. It needs to be adjusted. You need some level of, private restaurants, private hotels. People should be able to start their own tech companies. But the economy must be organized to serve public good. You need a state, a government that relies on popular power and community organizations to organize the economy. You need that. You definitely need that. You need a government of action that will fight for working families. This is basic stuff. This is basic left-wing politics. And the synthetic, phony left that wants to wage a culture war and is celebrating. Have you seen this? They're celebrating all these poor people in Texas that have lost their electricity. Oh, look, they're all Texas people. They're Trumpers. They're idiots. They deserve it. The synthetic left. Meanwhile, the right wing who says, oh, it's because of the government. It's the government that did this, We're the only ones who got this message. This would have been common sense. In the 1930s, this was basic. Roosevelt believed in this. Eugene Debs, Socialist Party, the Communist Party, they all believed in it. They all believed in what I'm saying here. But it has been eroded under decades of neoliberal propaganda, under decades of Trotskyite liberalism and cultural leftism that abandons economics. It's all been buried. And so we have a mission. We, our special community, we have a mission to revive this kind of politics. And that is my opening remarks for today. Not much to say, really. I mean, it's pretty basic stuff, but it's pretty common. Now, what I'm going to do is we're going to do our roll call right now. So I'm going to do our roll call, but then I'm going to kill the stream, and I'm going to restart the stream, and we'll do the super chats. I've written all your super chats down. After the roll call, we're going to take a little bit of a break, and then I will open a new stream. That's how we're going to do it. So let's do the roll call. Names and locations. Who's with us today? Names and locations. Who's with us? Names and locations. Queens, New York, Holly Holm, Steve Richer. America is failing at the basics, says JT24. I'll make sure we see all of them here. I'll put the chat, right? Clydebank, Serg from Arkansas, John in Houston, Liverpool, UK, Albany, Lawrence Chu, PA, Pennsylvania, Beltway region, Students and Youth for a New America, Montreal, Chaya, Sao, Brazil, Mississippi, JT24, Chris Hemphill in New York City, East Liverpool, Ohio, Southampton, very good, very, very good. Clarksville, Tennessee, Staten Island, Jesus in Spain, Marta in Poland, Juan from Mexico, Mo in Toronto, Canada. Wow, very good. Nate in Chicago, Clarksville, Tennessee, West Palm Beach, Sao Paulo, Brazil. Very good, very, very good. South London, UK. I wouldn't miss a stream, NYC. Great, IO Hillary. Throw communists out of helicopters, says Jake C. Very good. Well, no, why don't you just let the whole population starve? You know, Aberdeen, Scotland. Thanks, Caleb. You know, Comrade, Cincinnati. Winter Wonderland. Factory of Ideas. Blue Island, Illinois. West Virginia, Wisconsin. West Palm Beach, out of sight. New Jersey, Jersey City. Jack Smith. Francis, Indianapolis. Ramiro in East Los Angeles. Woodlands. Marks was right. Sharon Pitts in Alabama. Toronto, Ithaca, New York, Chris Baldwin. What do you say about hanging all and slaughtering party members? All right, we can talk about repression in Iran. That's what you said is not accurate. We'll talk about that. We can talk about that. That's what you said there, Cam, is not accurate, but we can talk about that, right? Iran. Alrighty. Sale in Manchester, Los Angeles, Dav in Bedford, UK, Auckland, New Zealand, Caracas, Venezuela, St. Petersburg, West Palm Beach, New Wales, Gainesville, Florida, Dallas, Texas, Australia, Patty and Joshua Tree, Northern Michigan, Cologne, Germany, Paragus in Los Angeles, Tyrone near the Hood in LA, Pyongyang, North Korea, DPRK, Pennsylvania, Nassau County, Joey from Belize, Char Darling, Portugal. Shout out to Joe the Red, who's back, Kendall in San Diego, Homer from Springfield, Mario from Croatia, Greenland, big fan from the UK, says top, Cincinnati, Soviet, Manchester, England, Cleveland, Jacob Maxey from Lafayette, Louisiana, Occupied America, Cabo Verde, Mohsen from Iran, West Virginia, Edinburgh. Very good, very, very good. Good times, folks, good times. Cincinnati, Ohio, Jenny Lynn. Communism is inevitable. Karachi, Pakistan. Tampa, Florida. Saddam. Kurds. Repression. All right. United Kingdom. Hey, Jack. Las Vegas. Let's go. Very good, folks. Very, very good. Now, folks, the way some circumstances have come up, so I am going to kill this stream for about 2 to 3, maybe even 4 or 5 minutes, and then I will jump right back on here for part 2. So don't go away. Don't go away. I'm going to kill the stream, but I will be live again in like 5 minutes. So One quick minute here, and then I will be back, so keep an eye out for the next stream. But I'm killing this current stream, but I will answer your super chats when we're back. So stick around.